Hello, everyone. Welcome to our paperwork workshop. Myself and Coach Joanne are so excited that you're here. The way this call is going to work is that we're going to go through, we have some slides, so we're going to go through some tips for your paperwork. We're also going to share a little bit about our paperwork course because we've been getting so many questions, and so we thought this is a good way to talk about it. We won't spend much time, though, I promise, because we really do want to help you work through your papers. So if you brought papers and you were going to work with us, great. If you didn't, that's also great. I guarantee you're going to learn something during this call, and we're just so grateful that you're here. So I'm going to admit a few more people. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So welcome to the Clear and Calm Paperwork Workshop. So we're going to give you 5 tips to help you feel in control of your papers. We're also going to give you an opportunity to ask us any questions, and then we're going to go through an actual paperwork session the way that we do in our course so you can see what it's like. Whether you decide to join us or not, we really do want to pour into you for this next 45 minutes to an hour. So we're just very, very grateful that you're here. We know you could have done anything else with your Monday evening, and you decided to join us. Okay. So our promise is that you will walk away with 5 actionable tips that you can use immediately. I'm sorry that I don't want the chat in front of it. Okay, so the first one is we're going to encourage you to start with a hot spot. We all have one. Maybe it is a spot on your kitchen counter. Maybe it's on your dining room table. Maybe it's in your front hall. Figure out where your paperwork pile that causes you the most daily stress. I'd love it if you could put that in the chat for us so that we would know what is your scariest spot. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, but it's very important that this is the area that you start with and not the filing cabinet or the boxes or the stash and dash that you have in the basement. Our number one goal is to help you come up with a plan so that you are working on incoming papers before we work on the backlog, which probably sounds different than what you've been taught. We have gone through this program with over 100 people, and this has worked so beautifully with everyone. And so that is our goal for you. The other thing is the 10-minute rule. Sometimes when we look at our papers, we think that we need a whole day, a whole week, a whole month to work on the papers. We want to share with you that 10 minutes of focused action beats waiting for the perfect time. Coach Joanne is the queen of papers, I think, and the queen of the timer. And she really even keeps me on track when I want to go a little bit longer or I want to chat more. She is really good at setting the timer for 10 minutes. Maybe we do it multiple times, but letting you see what you can get done in 10 minutes. And what I want to say from the self-care point of view is that telling yourself that you are only going to work for 10 minutes and you're allowed to stop at the end of 10 minutes is a really good tool if you're not feeling motivated to work on your papers, because 10 minutes will go by much faster than you think, and giving yourself permission to stop is really nourishing. Many times you don't want to stop, but if you do want to stop, that is okay. The next one is to create a landing zone. So I asked you, the first one was, where is your scary spot? The third one is create a landing zone. So for me, the landing zone is this file folder magazine kind of box that I have at my front door. Any mail that comes in, I put it there, and then I work on it later. That way I'm not creating another scary spot. It can be a basket, a tray, but one spot. Let me know in the chat, especially if you've been in our paperwork world before, where is your landing zone? When you work on paper, this is one of the things that Joanna's taught me and has worked really well is that we have 4 piles. So when you're doing a quick sort of your paper, what are the things that you need to take action on? Maybe it's a bill you need to pay, a letter you need to write, a phone call that you need to make. Maybe it's something that you don't need to take action on, but you need to file. Maybe it's something that you don't need, but it has important information, so you want to shred it. Maybe it's something that you want to recycle. By thinking about it in these 4 piles, it takes away a lot of the decision fatigue and makes it really automatic. I like to say build in pink space. You might have heard this as white space. One of the things that we have found over and over and over, and definitely within our own paperwork journey, is scheduling in 10 to 15 minutes a week to maintain your system. Maybe you have a paperwork day, maybe you have a paperwork hour, maybe you have 10 minutes, but making sure that you have a way to look at that landing pad, look at that action file that you have, look at the file that you want to file or sort, and then having time that will allow you to have time to go to the scary spot. But once we have figured out a way to tackle the incoming mail, everything else becomes a lot easier. So these tips that we have, they really work. We have done, I think, 4 rounds of our paperwork course, and many of the people come back and do it over and over again. And at first I wasn't sure why. I was like, did we not give them enough skills? And what I realized is that many of us have a lot of paper, and it really does feel overwhelming. It can feel like mountains and stacks and stacks. And so when you can work on your paper with other people that are in the same situation, it's a lot easier. And we also found that repeating the tasks over and over and over actually have made it feel like it's one of the basics that you do. It's just like brushing your teeth and you don't have to think about it. So I've learned, and maybe it's our humor too, I don't know. So very shortly, because I don't want to spend very much time, because I want to spend most of the time working on your papers and allowing you to ask any questions. We do have a paperwork course. It is starting on March 1st. Within the course, you get a daily email, you get an audio, you get a workbook. The most important part is we have these calls. So on each Monday, we have a call. We call it a coaching call, but we also bring our paper. So it is a live hour of working on your paper, and you can ask us questions while you're working on it. In the past, we used to do a coaching call and then have a very small working session on Saturday. Joanne and I decided to record the coaching element. And part of this course is we send that out on Sundays. So every Sunday you get a video for the week. And then on Monday, we work on the papers together. The other thing is that you get all replays. And for now, we give you every replay of every paperwork call that we have ever done. And it might change, but for now, that's what we give you. The other thing we have is we have the introduction of money dates. We have a replay and a workbook of that call that we're giving you included in here, and we incorporate that into the paperwork. And this round, we're also doing a tax preparation workshop, because that was one of the things that many of the past participants asked for. The course is $77. It starts March 1st. I will share the link, but I really want to allow you to ask any questions and let Joanne share, because I have been talking for the whole time and this is a joint experience. I'm gonna allow Joanne to, there she is. And I'm gonna just check. Okay, did it work?
It
Okay.
did. It did. Am I echoing?
Talk again? I don't think so.
I thought I heard an echo. Okay. No, I don't hear it anymore. Okay. So my friends, I'm going to talk quickly and then I'm going to go right into a working session and show you what I do. But I quickly want to explain why I became queen of my papers because I, like Julie, we were both queens of the stash and dash. And every time something important document came up, like it come in the mail, this is before the days of the computer. I've been on my decluttering journey since February of 2002. So like that was before Facebook, before a lot of the online stuff. Everything came in the mail. Really important piece of document come in. I would hide it in a really good, safe hiding spot. And guess what? They were all over the house. I could never find them. If anyone else can relate, like raise your virtual hand or put yes in the chat. Before my driver's license was due that day, I had received the piece of paper 2 months before, or I'm going on vacation. It's my passport. I ripped through the house. I'm tearing my piles. I'm tearing, like I used to have uh in my laundry room a bunch of papers put in a bag. I would either literally stash it in the hamper or in the cabinets, in my bathroom cabinets, just plastic grocery bags of stuff stashed. Besides, on top of the microwave, underneath the bowl on the kitchen table, on top of the fridge, on the fridge door, in the TV room. There's like five other spots. So you can relate. I was so sick of doing this, that, you know, manic, panic, frantic hunt that I started slowly. And I researched back then in 2002, and honestly actually that was my decluttering journey. The papers, I waited a couple years before I tackled them because it was so hard. And I would research. I found a lady online. I could use her method, and then I'd start picking and choosing until something worked for me. And my big savior was, I think I'm going to probably start going into our working session, if that's okay with you, Julie.
Yes, I just want to see um, if there were any questions from anyone before we start, especially so if you we did this a little bit backward. Normally when we do this, we start with the working session. And last time when we did that, the advice was they wanted us to do a little bit of coaching at the beginning. So that's why we started with the 5 tips that we had and told you about the course, because last time we did so many working sessions that we didn't leave time to talk about the course. But basically, the way that a working session works is if you have your papers, Joanne works through her papers and shares her process, and everyone else works on their paper at the same time. And then if you have questions, you can either put them in the chat or you can raise your virtual hand and we'll bring you on and we'll work through it with you, because we really want to make you feel like you can be in control of your papers too. If you've ever been on any call, um, I was definitely the queen of Sash and Dash. I've shared before in this group and other groups that I used to stuff all of my bills and mails in my underwear drawer because I just didn't want to deal with it. I would lose birthday invitations when my children were younger. I would lose important papers that I needed. And now, working through this really simple system, everything is just at the tip of our fingertips, which is amazing to me. And one of both of our goals is that we don't want anyone to ever feel overwhelmed by their paperwork. And so if we can go through a working session with you, I'm going to send out this recording. So at the very least, you could watch this over and over every time you want to do your papers, or you can join us. We really do just want to pay forward what we've learned. So Joanne will set a timer. She will get started. If you have questions, I'll be looking in the chat. And if you want to come on and ask a question, raise your hand and we can help you that way. And then we'll get started and we'll have 45 minutes with you to work on your papers and answer your questions. Sound good? Let me know in the chat. And Joanne, I will leave it with you. And Judy, I will answer you in the chat.
Okay. So actually what I'm going to do is here I'm jumping around. I'm actually, if you have brought papers with you and if you're working on them already, that's awesome. I'm going to set my timer oh, um, for 10 minutes. Okay. Grab a stack of papers. Go through the papers in your wallet or in your purse. You know, if you get through 10 pieces of paper, that is a win. Everything is a win here, especially when you have so much. And um, as I was saying, when I used to have all those safe hiding spots, finally what I did, I had, we had emails with an inbox. I had an inbox for all my incoming papers. And I created a paper command center. So instead of tearing through my house, I only had one spot I needed to go through. And this is my current paper command center. What I like about it, because when I first started in my decluttering journey, we did not have a home office. We didn't have a designated desk. So I used a small banker's box for my incoming papers. Any papers that came into the home, I would put in there. I had a file. This is what I currently use. This is just a dollar store container. So any piece of paper that's coming into the home, I just put in here and I go through this once a week. Maybe sometimes it's 2 or 3 times a month if I'm busy, but that's fine. And the whole thing is, if a paper came in, let's say on a Monday, and it's normally Sundays that I go through my papers, and all of a sudden I receive an email on Thursday that there was something urgent about that piece of mail that came in, not tearing through my home. All I have to do is go to one spot and pull it out. And what I also like about having this, even though I do have a home office, my mini paper command center is portable. So when I choose to work on my papers, I can go watch TV with them. And if you think about it, quite a lot of papers that come into our home are what I call mindless papers. Unless if you're doing your taxes or your finances, you need to really focus in on that. But if we're just going through junk mail and easy stuff, you can have your mind someplace else. I remember when I first started my paper journey, I would sit at my kitchen table with my timer. Back then I would do 15 minutes. It was torture. It killed me until I changed my spot. I went, many of you know this story. I loved Law and Order. That was one of my favorite TV shows back then. I would get myself a favorite drink, maybe a snack, have a stack of papers, my mini paper command center, and I would watch Law and Order. Now, you cut away the commercials, you have 45 minutes. At the end of the 45 minutes, I just packed up where I was and put that away, and I was not tortured. I watched a good TV show. I was happy about that. I was able to go through, and this was like some of it was a lot older papers. I would go through my current papers and do that, sort through them, and then I would go through my what I call the archive, which was actually, papers that have been stashed in a box or a bag or someplace for a couple of years, let's call it. So I'm going to start with this. And also another thing I have my mini paper command center is, and Julie talked about these later, there are, yours may change, but I do find that with all of us, there's at least, 5 files. I like to keep these in plastic files here that we all use. One is to be shredded. So in my household, we have one of those little small shredders. You run it for 3 minutes and then it needs to calm down for 15 minutes. I don't really have a lot of shredding that comes in. So I wait till this is full and then I go through it. And then the one thing about the shredding monster, especially if you have a backlog of shredding, look at, and especially if you are in the US, I've not found one of these in Canada yet. If you're Canadian and you've heard of about a community shredding event, please let us know in the chat. Many communities, they have free shredding events, one once or twice a year. So look around for that in your community. Also, uh, UPS and Staples, they shred. And the last time I researched in Canada was Staples. They would do basically a baker's box of papers, shred that for $25. And if you have a huge amount, you can hire a vehicle that's like a personal shredder, like a wood chipper. We've heard of those, but a shredder, they'll come sit in your driveway and go through it. Yes, that is more money. But if you have a business, at home business, that's also a write off, or maybe it's you have so many papers that it would be worth that money. So the to be shredded, another idea to help you with the shredding. I'm going to hand out a few tips. Just a big old fat black marker. Go through that, and I always say shop at home. We all have so many office supplies at home. Shop at home first before you buy anything. And if any of you have, do you remember those stamp pads, big black ink? Think about putting that on your personal information if it's not too much. So there is the to be shredded, there is the action, right? And even with the action, so I have here some skincare that I'm going to order. With that, I circle it, I write the date that I have to have it in there for. How about to be filed, right? Now we do have a filing cabinet in the home here, but I will wait till this gets a little bit more full. And then I'm just going to do a quick, set my timer for 3 minutes and file as quick as I can because I don't want to spend a lot of time filing on it. All right. So that was the three: action, to be shredded, to be filed, and also one called money, right? And that can mean for all of us, it's going to be something different. Maybe it's the bills that come in. In here, I actually have, yes, I do have Excel, but I still have a little spreadsheet notebook that I like to use. Maybe it's your investment statements. And also something really important right now, and I always keep these in, taxes. So any piece of paper coming in, taxes, sure, I could put it in the to be file, but anything with taxes, I'm extra particular about. And I actually have, right now it's once taxes 2025, and I keep a taxes 2026 in here too. And another thing, maybe this will be helpful for you. I call this one waiting on, right? And here's an example. This I actually went through, I think it was 2 years ago, but I kept this so I can let everybody know. We had some insurance, which I realized we actually had double coverage. So I went to cancel the one policy. And yeah, I received in the mail, it was time to renew my policy. Excuse me. So I looked at it, talked to my husband, but we don't need this anymore. So what I did is I called, wrote the date down, and I canceled. Now we're like 1 month ahead. It was coming out of my bank account every month. And they said, okay, well, your next payment, they prorated it in, what was the date? On March 9th, I was supposed to check and I was supposed to have a reduced rate come out. And then April 9th, zero was supposed to come out. Well, I've personally been bitten a few times where I thought I had all my I's and T's crossed and dotted, thought I canceled something, and all of a sudden I find out it keeps coming out. But by staying top of it, I checked my bank March 9th. Yes. Okay, that was the right amount. Now, because I'm waiting on, I did the action, it's at my action file. I put it in my waiting file, waiting on. And then a month later, April 9th, I checked and zero payment. Now, then that can be filed. I keep this out though, just because it is such a good example of real life. And also we'll have other files too that are going to be different for all of us. Maybe you have a project going on, maybe you're planning a vacation or there's a wedding coming up and you have a bunch of information that can have its own file until it's oh, okay. That was already 10 minutes. I'm going to restart again, and I'm actually going to start working on my papers instead of talking. But I will talk through this. Also, one thing I
Joanne,
do.
can you turn up your volume at all? I can hear you, but someone said she can't.
Okay, maybe that's a little, and I can even
Okay.
sit closer. Okay, I think I had it down to about 80 for some reason, but now I'm up to 100. Okay, so here is my little inbox. And let's see what we. Oh, and what I use for recycling when I'm in my office, I just have a brown paper bag. When that's filled up, I can just put that in my recycling bin. And in the community I live in, they will definitely accept that. Oh, this is a piece of paper I printed, I no longer need. And that's one thing. Before I put something in recycling, I like to take the extra second to rip it up because I found when I was working with lots of paper, and sometimes we get that uh, fatigue, decision fatigue, right? It feels like overwhelm. And then you're working harder, not smarter. And all of a sudden, I'd have all my piles of paper. I'd worked a little too long, and there's something I'm looking for. And now I can't find it. And then I go through my recycling. But I know if I take the extra second to rip it up, that is peace of mind for me. So this I want to put in my taxes 2025. Another thing, different supplies. One thing I do like to keep for supplies, or when I work, I'm also a professional home organizer when I go into clients' home. Keep different sizes of Ziploc baggies. Because especially for little receipts and whatnot, you use a paper clip, they go missing. And then my favorite, I love using green painter's tape to clearly label it. It's easy for me to find. So these were receipts from my birthday in November. And I'm one of those, oh, I love receipts, sort of kind of love neat thing. And these after they mean nothing to me. It was receipts from where I went for lunch, clothing that I had bought. Well, it wasn't that big of a deal. So yes, I can just take off my green painter's tape and my plastic baggie is good for another. And I'm just I'm gonna look through the chat
You
too.
froze a little.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. You're good. Maybe it was just for me.
Okay. Nancy says define action items. Are they all high priority items? No, they're not. They could be actually something really simple, such as you need to RSP, maybe for a wedding. Like, sure, that's priority, right? To me, high priority is one of those things where you receive a bill going, hey, you haven't paid this for so many months, like something slipped through your fingers and it's a fire to put out. But to me, action is anything that I need to do. And even to the point when I receive an email, that means I have to do a follow up through it. And I'm not going to do it right there at that moment. I print it out, it goes in here, and then it goes in my action. So I can take out my action file, and it might be, oh, geez, I have to pay this bill, pay this bill. I need to send an email to so and so. I need to book an appointment. I need to research something for my vacation. That's all action, right? And probably by when we keep up with our action file, lots of them are not we high priority, maybe I'm thinking it's the wrong word, but sometimes we have fires we need to put out. That's a super high, like it's a red alert priority. So yeah, action is anything that you need to do. Maybe you need to fill out a form for your chiropractor, right? This can be filed. Right here. And here's one thing about the beauty. Maybe some of you have also gone through, Sarah's OLAB, the life with life principle. Okay, let's pass to go in what you says. And that's how I like to sort my papers. So how I sort my life with life might not make sense to you. Like this is not a cookie cutter course. This is about creating your own system. We've got good basics, and then you can just build on that. And one thing that happened to me and even though, as you did hear me talk earlier, that it was just frantic, it was so horrible every time I needed an important piece of paper. There was so much trauma that even though today, where I'm good, like taxation doesn't scare me, I still get a little uneasiness. And 2 weekends ago, I was a victim of cyber fraud, and I had to meet with my bank manager on the phone. He's like 3 hours away from me. And then they said, you have to bring these important documents. And one of them was my business license. Well, the only time, like, I have not needed that. I renew it once every 5 years. And in my head, I was like, oh no, where is that? Where is it? Well, do you know what? When I walked into my office and I got that little file drawer that says business insurance and other stuff out, it was right there. But still, after decades of being, that was hard. Mm, mm. I see. Okay, landing sounds is good. And this coach Julie, who's it, Suzanne has landings a drawer in the kitchen, and she's used it from day one, trying to transition to a tucked away tray in the living room. I'm not sure if that's going to be better or if I'm fighting against a good flow. You can always try it for 2 weeks, and maybe it doesn't work for you. The first thing I tried with dealing with my paper was sitting at the kitchen table. That certainly didn't work for me. If I didn't change it, I never would have continued on. It's 2025. And here. Honestly. So for some reason, I put this in here and use a newspaper. And I honestly don't remember why. So guess what? I'm not even going to spend the 2 minutes going through it. If it was something really important, I would have ripped the page out of the newspaper and put it in here. I'm not going to worry about that. Something for my bank. We don't need that anymore. This is going to be option things I need to read. What is this? Says oh no, Well, that's an action. That's something I definitely want to read. It's about my new Air Miles card. So I will put that as action. And, I can take my action file out while I'm sitting watching TV. I'll just make notes on this. And I might even have some more action after that. Okay. So, my friends, that was 20 minutes in. Now, if you have been working on your papers, feel free to stop at this point. We're going to keep going. We're going to open this up for some more questions in a bit. And if you feel like quitting, if you're getting decision fatigue, go ahead, stop now. Maybe what you want to do is just look around and you did 2 10-minute sessions, spend this next 10 minutes taking care of the messy middle, right? If you were doing your papers on your bed or your kitchen table or whatnot, and you want to use that space later now, this is a beautiful 10 minutes well spent tackling the messy middle. Maybe you do the filing, you take out the shredding, you put everything away. Like one thing about me having this portable mini command center, what I really loved about it, because I just hated papers so much, they were like torture. When I was done, I could tuck it away. I never had to look at it again. And even now, yes, I do have my own home office. I tuck this away in the closet. It just comes out, I open the closet door, throw in a few pieces of paper, and then I run away. And then I work on it once a week. And Jeannie keeps a small plastic basket in the table between your chairs in the living room.
Nancy was saying that I have to find it again. Not every action is generated by mail. If I need to do something like change the air cleaner filter, it goes on my calendar. If I need to schedule a doctor's appointment, I add a task to the first day that I can do it. Another thing that came up in the last round was that people were trying to come up with ideas of if they were getting paper bills and they weren't going to pay it right then, what system could they use? And so what I do is if I open a bill and I'm not paying it right then, or maybe it's something that I need to action, like maybe I do need to send something for one of my benefits or an insurance inquiry or something like that, I mark it down in my calendar. So Nancy, I think that's a really good tip and way that you're dealing with your actions. And then Maureen said that she also goes through what she needs to do the night before and put a post-it note so I have another reminder. I think that is excellent. That's something that I do on Sundays is I take a look at my calendar and I consolidate all the things that I want to do and I have like a master list of what the week is going to look like. And it's just a way to sit down and get a little bit more clarity because sometimes if we depend on our memory or we depend on our calendar, sometimes we're going to miss things. And so I really like that idea. The post-it, perfect. The things that you're scheduling that Nancy's doing, love it too. Where do you put things like coupon? Okay, so where do you put things like coupons for car service, HVAC service, Hallmark, etc.? Not needed, but maybe soon. Joanne loves this, so I'm going to let her answer.
So, okay, and Julie gets a kick out of this. Something I did. Okay, so we're talking about gift cards and coupons, right? And there are different categories. What I will go back to that question, but one thing I started doing, especially for like around Christmas, receipts for gifts that I had bought, and also the receipt. My family, they all live in another province, so it's been gift receipts I've been saving or sending them, but I want to keep that own receipt just in case something doesn't work. And the quickest, easiest way I found was a plastic baggie, and I mark it with my green painter's tape. It'll say Christmas 2025. Every receipt goes in there. One place I put it under. In my old house, I did this. In this new house, I do it. underneath my cutlery drawer in my kitchen. Now, that did take a while because underneath my cutlery drawer in my kitchen, I remember I used to stash a bunch of papers underneath there too. So yes, I had to declutter the cutlery and get rid of those papers. And I've been doing this for pretty close to 20 years now, and it works like a charm. Now, for those other coupons, though, you said that they might be coming up. And I don't say, I don't know whose name is it.
That was Anne. Anne
That
asked that.
Okay, and so one thing you can do, if you have quite a few of them, and especially like card dealing can be worth some good money here. Um, and if you are a couponer, maybe you have a file that says coupons on it, right? And then whatever makes sense to you. Do you file that by how you think about it. Is it something for the house, something for the car, something for clothing or a certain mall, or do you file it by expiry date? Right? Play around with that. And just maybe you have one file, you have a whole bunch of little baggies in there, or maybe it's a box, right? Like a shoebox would be a good thing for that.
The thing that I'll add to that, Anne, is if something has an expiry date. So where I live, if you get gift cards or gift certificates, they used to be that you could use them forever, and now there's expiry dates. I add that to my calendar as well because we're not like the holidays are over and I'm not buying a lot of items and I don't have a lot of receipts. I used to carry all of my, if I had gift cards and things like that, I would carry it in my wallet or coupons. Now I'm actually doing that, the baggy rule. I just love this idea so much, and I'm putting it under my cutlery because it's a place that I know to always look. But the calendar, I know that this is all about paperwork, but the calendar has been a lifesaver to me. And many of you that have been around me for a while know that I really loved my paper calendar. And now I have adopted a Google Calendar that I can share with other people, and everything goes in there. Think about it. When you're out and about, and say you go to the dentist and then they want to schedule your next appointment, having access to my calendar right there and not having to go home and get the one that was on the fridge or in the command center has really changed everything for me. That's not to say that I don't still add it to that calendar, because I do really still like my paper calendar. And that's part of that process I was talking about on Sunday. But yes, for all of those things, if it has a date, put it in the calendar. If it doesn't, just find a location. It could be one of those file folders like Joanne has. It could be, I have this magnet clip that I have on my fridge that had some coupons in, and now I'm using under the cutlery drawer. So those are the options. What about something like a form that if you mailed in and we're waiting for a receipt or a renewed item where do you put the instruction sheet? Okay, so, okay, guys, so these hot flashes I'm having are also taking away my memory. Joanne, what is that file that I said that I had last time? Pending. That's where I would put it, Nancy. You guys are seeing me go through emotions or hormones in real time. This is really, you guys are witnessing in the first time. I've never really had them this bad. I did another call before and I couldn't even see out of my glasses because my glasses fogged up. I promise you we have everything recorded. So if my brain is not working in March, we do have everything recorded. But yes, so Nancy, if you have a form that you mailed in and you're waiting for a receipt, I have in my, so my paperwork command center is in this basket, just like Joanne's, and I can carry it from room to room, and there is a pending folder. Hopefully that answers what you wanted. Let me know if not in the chat. And if anyone wants to come on and ask us questions, please do, because we still have 13 minutes. We planned an hour to be with you guys, so let us know. Oh, the thing is, Kimberly, and you don't, and the thing is, my children keep turning up the heat, and I don't know, like, honestly, if you guys could see how much I'm actually sweating right now, you would like, it's like, this is nothing like I've experienced, and I don't know what to do, but I want to go put my head in the freezer. I likely will do this after the call. I'll take a picture for you guys. So you go in the IT room. Yeah, I don't have a cold room in here. Our cellar isn't even cold.
So that was 10 minutes, my friend. We've been at this for 30 minutes. And I want to say, Julie, like you say that you were so hot when we were in Florida, and I'm not sure if there's anybody else. Yeah, Jan was here. We were all in October at the Decluttering Live uh in Orlando with Sarah Mueller.
Oh my
And
gosh.
the first
So I
day,
wasn't having hot flashes there. I was just overheating, but I need to tell you because I was sitting with Jan and Joanne was sitting behind me and they were all wearing sweaters and I was just wearing a dress. And if I could have worn my swimsuit, it was so humid there. Joanne came up to me at one point with her shawl and she said, I noticed you don't have a sweater. If you want to borrow this, you can. And I was like, no, thank you. But no, I'm so hot. So it must have been starting then, but I was in denial. I thought it was the humidity.
so it stood us like we were, and then the next day it was fine though. But I remember you said, "No, I'm really fine. Like I'm hot." I was like, "Okay."
Wild yam. I'm gonna look for that. I'm gonna ask you to answer this one, Joanne. So Janine says, I joined late. Any tips on what paper is okay to throw out?
On what's okay? Okay, so let's think of duplicates, right? Let's think about things like reference, like, do you need this for reference? You know, is it something that you could find online? Right. And here's something that I love. I was working with a client and she said to me, she found a piece of paper, she had it on her fridge, and it was how to, oh, I'm blanking on the words here. If something was in metric and how to change it, grams to how many cups. And she goes, where should I store that? I don't want it on my fridge. And I asked her, I said, no, do you need this or what would you normally like? Where would you go? Like, is this information that you can find online? And she said, oh, I would just go, hey, Alexa, how many teaspoons in it? Right. So that's a quick one to throw out. Something like that. How about, okay, you want some really big impact? Anybody have old phone books? You're going to save so much room and it's going to feel so good to let go of those old phone books if you have them. Old catalogs, old magazines. This all counts. Chances are anything that you have in your fridge that is from 2025. All right. Maybe that ship's already sailed. Don't feel bad about it, right? That, oh, geez, here's a coupon I missed out on. No, let it go. Let it go. More coupons will come.
I would say a lot of manuals too. So the only
Mhm.
manual, I think the only manual that I've kept right now is the one for my um above ground pool that we put up every year. But everything else, like my stove, my dishwasher, my microwave, my furnace, all of that, I can access them online. So all of those, I did have a home binder. And then I realized I was always going to the computer or my phone to look it up. So those things you can release. There's a lot of things that are available online, or you can, there's a couple of days in March that we talk about um digital, I can't say the word, but you guys know what I mean. So some of the things you can have files on your computer and save things so you don't actually have the physical paper, but those are the things for now that I would tell you, Jenny, that we would throw out.
Oh, and
Oh, and
here's a quick,
menus. Yes, menus.
yeah. You're going to get more, right? Like those things always seem to pile up, especially if you live in an area where these show up on your doorknob every day or so or in your mailbox. And another thing about the manuals, um, when they come to my home, most of the time I have received like the instructions in 4 different languages and I save them all. I only read and write in English. So,
Yeah.
there goes 75% of them. That's a quick win. Maybe take it and you want to reduce it, take everything out of the envelope, right? Or, make choices like your financial papers. I used to have them come to my home like every month and they'd be thick, right? And there's probably 3, 4 pages that has nothing to do with my finances. And it was tough for me, but I didn't go online. I'm hesitant. I'm slowly baby stepping my way there. That was one of my best moves ever. And if I need to, I can print them out. I've never, I think maybe I might have printed out one. I don't think I've ever had to print out my statements, though. Right. And Julie talked about, going onto the Google Calendar, digital calendar, and that helping. I'm also baby stepping in on that way, and that is really helping too. Yeah, I don't have everything on the calendar, but everything work related, which makes a difference, even though I still want to see it on my, pen and paper calendar. Yes, I don't need this with things. That came through. And so another big thing is, our insurance claims. So you might want to have your own section for insurance or a binder. Binderizing is good. I do have one binder in here. I use this for financial papers that come in monthly. And I learned 2 years ago, I finally keep my hole punch in here because I used to keep it with my office supplies. Only time I use it is for this binder. Well, no, for my done and dusted for a few projects I do, but I'll go here to go get that. Um, Binders and work great like for insurance papers. Maybe you have one for the whole family or one for each member of the family. And now we have, it's like we only have 6 minutes left. Does anybody else have a question for us? I'd love to answer. Either you can speak and come on camera, or you can put it in the chat. Too, I want to hear. Also in the chat, how are you doing the papers? How much is left?
And if you have any wins, I love when you guys find like random things or gift cards. I think someone found the last time we did a call like this, I think someone found a check for $700 that they had lost. So that was yeah, 3 to 7 years in the US. And even then, some of them I'm learning. So my tip for taxes. So I have these, I should have brought one with me. Sorry, it's family day here. And when we were planning these calls, I thought my children were going to be at their grandparents, and then they ended up coming home early. And when I told them I had to go on the call, so then I have the guilt. I have hot flashes and guilt today. Can anyone relate to this? So I'm not as prepared with all my props, but I have these little clear plastic boxes. You can find them at like a dollar store or Walmart or something like that. They're like the size of a shoebox. And I put a date on it. So right now I'll have one that says 2026, and then I'll have shred in 7 years. Everything that I get that has to do with my taxes, that I'll be doing my taxes for next year, goes in that box. I have quite a few of them now in my closet, and that's how I'm keeping them, because I'm knocking on wood that I'm never going to be audited, but that way I have it all in one place, and things that last that will fit in there. That has been the easiest process for me because I don't want to fill my filing cabinet or my sorting station or my mini command center. So that's where I've been putting my taxes. Oh, Jan found a birthday card stamp to send tomorrow. I love that. Oh, yes. The mom guilt and stress. You probably are right. We appreciate you so much. So we truly, if you decide to join, I'm going to tell you this. We only have 30 spots for the paperwork course. We have a few of them already taken by people that did the course with us last round. We keep it intentionally 30 people because that we work very closely with you. We do those Monday calls that I was telling you about, and we do the Saturday quick working sessions. And then we have a Facebook group that will answer your questions. Whether you decide to join or not, we wanted to give you an idea of what it's like to work on your papers. We'll send out this recording so you can watch the recording and do it on your own, or you can join us, which we hope that we will do. Right now, to answer your question about photos, we have not. We are 50% thinking that the next round that we do, our special topic is going to be photos. So last round, we talked about money and trying to find all your money leaks and and we shared a plan on how you can do money dates. You get that recording. This round, we're talking about tax preparation as our bonus. The next one, we think we're going to talk about photos because that has come up. The next round is the whole month of March. So there's 5 Mondays and 4 Saturdays. So you'll get 9 opportunities to work on your papers with us. The cost is $77 and you get access to everything that we have. All of the calls that we've done, only because when we've answered questions on all the various calls, there's some really good information. And I know there's a lot of people that like to watch replays, so we're just giving you everything. How's the best to save magazine pages, recipes, etc.? I wish I had my props. What I have done, who asked that one? B. What I have done is I just keep the page that I need and not the whole magazine or wherever I got it, and I put them in a binder in those clear plastic sheets. That is where my pictures from magazines are. There's a couple of other people that were in the last round and they take photos of it and then they upload it to a website. But for me, the binder and those plastic sheets works for me.
And B, I'm
Sheila,
also
what do you do? Joanne, I don't keep once a medical claim has been paid for me, I don't keep them. Do you keep them for a certain amount of time? Sheila's asking that. She says, I never know whether to save medical papers like copays after they're paid. I don't.
I keep mine till the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of Julie, you said I found this from 2024. I had put everything in. It's some
Oh,
financial
yes.
papers. They can now be shredded. Like I have them in my binder, but at the end of 2025, I put all 2024s in here, and that can all go into the shredding. So we're gonna have a busy shredder. And oh, I think somebody want to raise their hand.
Oh, let me look. I didn't see. We have, if someone did, we have 1 more minute. But okay, this is the other thing I have to say about the replays though, because there's some of you, if you're not on my email list or you're not in the Creating Space Facebook group, I won't know how to get the replay to you. So if you're on this call and you're not on either one of those ways, can you just send me a message on Facebook and I'll add you to the Facebook group so you can get the replay. That is true. Anne is saying that United Med keeps all records, doctor visits, etc. online. That's something that we've learned through these courses. It is a lot better, I think, in the US than it is in Canada for that. We don't have access to, if you see different doctors and different specialists and pharmacists and all of that in one place, it's in very many places for us, so it's not so centralized. Oh, Sheila, I'm glad this was a push to get you started right now. I'm so glad. Truly, we do these calls because this is the area, that Joanna's been on this journey for much longer than me, and she goes into people's homes and she helps them organize. Paperwork was one of the last things that I mastered, for lack of a better word, and it is because I asked Joanne for help I worked on my own papers. She shared the way that she did it. And then we decided to create this course. And we recognize that not everyone can join us, which is why a couple of times a year we do these workshops just to show what we're doing so that you have a resource, because I don't want anyone to be overwhelmed with their papers. I know what that is like. It is very overwhelming. There's a lot of shame. It's very stressful. And now we feel much more comfortable with our papers. And so we just want to share that. So we appreciate you spending your time. An hour is a lot of your time to spend with us. So we appreciate it. We hope you took some tips. I will definitely send out the replay. 6 inches of filing. Yay, Sharon. And if you're on our email list or in our Facebook group, we will share with you. Danielle, I said I'm going to email it out. I know you're on. I have your email, so you'll get it. I'll send it out later tonight. So you guys will get the replay. And then if you want to join us for the course, there's 30 spots. Well, not 30. There's probably 25 spots right now. As soon as those ones are done, we'll end registration, and then we'll do another one later in the year. I hope that helps. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Thank you, Joanne, as always. You're so wonderful. You're so good at the papers and sharing all of your tips. So I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, my friends. Have a great evening.